Hello, good people of the interwebs. It's the Bad Mini Paint again, and we're going to be painting up some scenery, uh, because why not? The funny thing is, I have a resin printer, and I have printed out scenery, and that's actually of a higher quality than this, but it's a discussion for another video. I should make that video. Anywho, I decided to start out with the Sigmarite Chapel of the Empire. Pretty easy to put together. Doesn't consist of a lot of pieces. The pieces, however, don't really fit, or I'm bad at putting it together, but it was kind of hard getting things in the right places. So I have some huge gaps. Now, I could have covered those up, but I'm also lazy. I really should have covered it up, but I was thinking, okay, when they're painted, then no one will notice, but it's really noticeable. So that's on me. And Games Workshop for making models that are tricky to actually get to fit. I start out with the Dark Reaper for the roof. It has this blue color on the box art, and I thought the Dark Reaper would be a good base color for that. So I'm just applying it, just slapping it on. You can primarily see my hand. The rest of the shots in this video are kind of better, not a lot. Then I decided to shade it before starting all the dry brushing, in order to get the shade into all the cracks and not dulling down all the other blue colors. And I use Dark and Ho Nightshade from Citadel. I do like Citadel's shades, as a general. I'm not a huge fan of non-oil. I think there are better alternatives, but anyway, dry brushing time. Start out with the Rush Grey and a fairly heavy dry brush. I don't wipe a lot of the paint off, because I want the primary color to be Rush Grey. After that, Fenrisian Grey, also from Citadel, and a much lighter dry brush. Like way lighter, trying to only catch the edges, but it also gives some streaks here and there, and the effect is actually pretty nice. Then, as a base color for the building, the walls, I decided to go with Corax White. It's just broken enough so that it gives a good base color to work from. It's more gray than white, if you ask me, but it's, yeah. So next I go with White Gray from AK Interactive, and I just stab the living shit out of it. I have a beat up old dry brush, and I can use it for stippling on. And the whole idea is to try to add some texture, because a wall, especially an old wall, would have variations in the colors. And the end result was actually pretty good. For all the stone work, here's that huge gap that I really should have done something about, but hey, too late now. I use Talon Sand from Citadel as the base color. It's one of the better Citadel's colors as well. It has, well, it's kind of runny, but okay coverage. Next, I use Karak Stone on a dry brush, just to add again some texture to all the bricks. And I wipe off a fair bit, but enough so that I make streaks on the stones. I want to color part of the stone with this from top to down, because that's the look I'm going for. If you're going for another look, wipe off more of the paint. And I'm not totally done with the dry brushing of the stones. Then I go in with a dark brown wash from Vallejo, to dirty up and make it run into all the crevices, to actually kind of emphasize the details. I mean, that's what you do with a wash. Basically, the wash adds all the details for you, and that's nice. So, dark brown from Vallejo, it's a really nice, although very runny wash, so you have to be careful with the pooling. For all the woodwork, I decided to go with dark brown from AK Interactive, since all my brown Citadel colors are dead. But I think it's pretty close to something like what was it called? Morfang brown. Anywho, I use that for all the wood on the building, and that be the door, the beams, and so forth. For the trim going around the building, I decided to go with Imperial Blue from AK Interactive. It was a bit more runny than I'm used to from AK Interactive. It's kind of watery, not like a shade, but kind of like a, not shade, contrast. Kind of like a speed paint, but it's not a speed paint. But it kind of have to say it has the same properties to some degree. It's definitely something where you want to add 2 coats if you want to have a heavy coverage. After that, I go with Morcast Bone from Citadel, and I use that for the skeleton, the skulls, and for the final dry brushing of all the stones. And it's a very light dry brush. For some of the metal, I kind of pick out parts. I go with lead belcher, and that's for the trim around the chimney. And also I decided that the windows got that as well. It just seemed like it fitted. I don't know. It looks okay. The end result is okay. For the statues and the trim around on the decorations, the blue part, I decided to go with the Retributor armor. I wanted golden statues, and then I kind of changed my mind later on. For the trim, there's a bunch of little thingamabobs, decorations. So I tried to do the whole like edging, and I did hit some of the blue parts. Mistakes were made, but nothing that I couldn't go back and correct. And honestly, I think I would have made more mistakes if I actually tried using the brush to hit the little moons and stars and all that stuff. For the rest of the metal parts, the chimney and such, I decided to go with bright bronze. I also use that for trims on the windows and yeah, basically all the things that should be metal that is now. There's also some decorations on the building, and I also use bright bronze for those. Trying to be careful not to hit my the white, because it's hard to go back and repair when you're done stiffling and stuff like that, so be careful on this part. Just a little nifty advice. And now it's time for all the washes. I use black wash for the chimney, because it seems like something that would get dirty and grimy. And for the rest of basically all the metal that's left, like the decorations on the building and the skulls, I use flesh wash from 2 thin coats. I don't use those paints enough. They're really good. But yeah, I use flesh wash for the gold. It's a good way to emphasize the details and make it look a bit older than it is. Oh well, it is old. To make it look old. And as you can see, I slap on quite a bit, and then I try to distribute it around on the area that I want covered in the wash. And I used something called Slimy Grime from Vallejo to add this kind of moldy look to some parts of the building, especially the cracks. And all the way around on the bricks, the lower bricks as well. Got a layer of this. I guess it's a technical color. It's kind of nice. It gives this really nice. It doesn't lie. It's slimy grime. It's pretty cool. And as a final little thing, I decided to use Nihilak oxide for the statue, which is gold, which doesn't oxidize. So that's a mistake. I should have made a bronze, which does oxidize, because now it doesn't make sense. So let's say it's gold and bronze statues. Yes. So they do oxidize and everything's good. And then I called it quits. And this is the final result. So I'm really kicking myself and not taking the time to fill out the gaps, or at least trying to put it together a little bit better. But in my defense, it was annoying. But this is the final result, and I'm borderline happy. It looks decent. And really, when you paint like I do, decent is a success. Anywho, thank you so much for watching. The next video will be fences and walls, so that should be exciting. If you haven't done so already, please subscribe so you can watch my fences and walls video. And leave a like if you feel like it. If there's something you would like me to paint, slap it in the comments, and then I have an excuse to go buy it. Thank you for your time, and bye.